welcome back to another Menu Monday. This week I think I've got a little something for everybody. I have one crock pot recipe, I have one air fryer recipe, and I've got two fantastic casserole dishes. So without further ado, let's jump in. So the first thing we're going to do for our taco stew is to brown the ground beef in the skillet. If you have the Green Life crock pot like I do, you can use your insert. If not, just use a frying pan. I've done that for years. And then after we've got that browned, we're going to add our onions, actually all of our remaining ingredients. And I did drain the grease off of my hamburger. Again, they'll be listed at the end of this clip and on the website rvlifeintheusa.com. Now, I had made this once before, and it said to cook it on low for 7 to 8 hours. I did it for 7.5. It called for potatoes, and I cut mine up what I thought was plenty small enough, but they were not cooked. So I had some leftover hash browns in the freezer, so I decided to try it with those to see if it worked out better, and I cooked it on high for 4 hours. So I'm mixing everything in here now, and then I'm going to add the hash browns. When I made it before, which was a couple of weeks ago, although we didn't like it because the potatoes weren't cooked, the flavor was fantastic, and I wasn't giving up on this. So I said to Big Daddy, I'm going to try it again. I'm going to use hash browns because I think they'll cook a lot easier. Or I think the little yellow potatoes that I usually use would have worked too, but I use russet potatoes. Here it is before when I made it with those. And then here's Big Daddy's plate for the next day when I made it with the hash browns. It was fantastic. We paired it with some rolls. Here are your ingredients, and I hope you try it. It was well worth doing again. Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is boil the water to get the egg noodles cooked. I, however, did not have egg noodles, so I used some corkscrew pasta. I also did not have ground beef, so I did mine with turkey, and it was really good. And I'm not a big fan. Big Daddy, I'm not even telling him it's in there because he told me not to tell him if I was cooking with turkey. But I don't think he'll know the difference. I'll have to tell you next week because I got to finish up this Menu Monday. So I've done the pasta, and now I'm going to, I put some olive oil in here. I'm going to cook some garlic and some onion, which was frozen. So we'll get that in the pot. While the onion and garlic is sauteing, I'm going to go ahead and cut up some tomatoes. This calls for 2 cups of diced tomatoes, and I didn't have those, so I went ahead, sorry about my ice maker, and just cut up some tomatoes. I had so many in the fridge. So I used fresh, and then I'm going to add a little extra tomato sauce since I'm doing the fresh tomatoes. The rest of the tomato went into my lunch salad. So now my onions and garlic are ready. I'm going to go ahead and put in the ground meat. Now you can use beef if you don't want to use turkey. It'll be perfectly fine, and I'm sure it'll taste just as good. I'm going to add a little salt and pepper. And then I decided to add some Chris's steak seasoning, which is something I put on just about everything we eat. I love it. It's not necessary for this recipe. Now that the meat is done, I'm going to add the other ingredients, and that's going to be the Italian seasoning and the parsley. And then all the other ingredients along with the egg noodles, or for me, the corkscrew pasta. You know, recipes are just a roadmap, so you can steer from them and make it your own. It's your kitchen. Now, because mine has fresh tomatoes, I'm going to put the lid on this and let it simmer for a little while, because I do have to grate some shredded cheese. And you know, last time I had a really hard time with this, but I think I've got it worked out. I got it secured to the counter and suction cupped, and now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do the whole block of cheese, but I'm only going to use a little bit on the casserole. I have found out that these block cheeses produce a lot more grease than the ones that you buy already grated and in a bag. So be sparing with it, otherwise your casseroles will get very greasy. It's lovely on a salad though. And I still like it on a casserole. I'm just doing a lot less. So now the trick is to get it off the counter. And this is where I mess up. Big Daddy says it should go the opposite way to what I think. Live and learn. So now I've sprayed my casserole dish, and I'm going to go ahead and put everything in here and then add the cheese. Okay, the oven's supposed to be set at 400, which mine is, and you're going to cook this for about 15 minutes or when the edges are slightly brown. I did mine for about 20 to 25 minutes, and it was perfect. Here are your ingredients. Definitely give this a try. It had tons of flavor. First thing I'm going to do is get my chicken out of the freezer. I thought I had chicken breasts, but I had tenders. Nonetheless, it doesn't matter other than the cook time. So first of all, I'm going to make up my base that my marinade. Can't talk today, sorry. The ingredients will be at the end of this clip and on the website rvlifeintheusa.com, and the link to that and this blog will be in the comment box below. Now, I followed the directions for the marinade. It did need some extra olive oil for this mix. You can use this, you can use any sort of marinade you would like to put on your chicken. I'll give that a good mix, and then we will brush this onto the frozen chicken once we get it into the air fryer. So the directions were to cook this for 15 minutes at 400 and then flip the chicken and cook it for another 10 to 12 minutes. Well, what I realized was these were tenderloins and not chicken breasts. The directions were for 3 chicken breasts, a total of 3 pounds. So I reduced my time to 8 minutes per side, and that was good for tenderloins. For the directions that I put on the website, I'll do both chicken breast and tenderloin times. That way you can do either or. Now that we got all the chicken done, I'm going to put that on keep warm in the oven and then start. I had hash browns for a side, so that's what I'm going to cook now. I could have been cooking that while the chicken was cooking, but I was FaceTiming my grandson, so that was more important, and Big Daddy wasn't home. Alright, I'm going to plate this up. Now, we did find that this needed a dipping sauce, so I suggest this new one that I found. We're going to try that next time. It's Baby Ray's. And I think that just adds just a little oomph to it, steps it up a notch. So here are your ingredients. I hope you give it a try. It was a super simple dinner. Today the first thing we're going to do is melt our butter in a Dutch oven or a pot that's big enough to hold everything. We're going to put this over medium-high heat. Then we're going to add the onion, red bell pepper, and some garlic cloves. Again, all the ingredients and the ingredient amounts and directions will be on our website rvlifeintheusa.com, and that link will be in the description box below. It's been about 5 to 6 minutes and everything is tender. We're now going to add our flour. We're going to go ahead and mix that for about 1 minute. We're now going to whisk in our broth, which is 3 cups. So I add my 2 and then I'll add another one in just 1 minute. And then our half and half and our white wine. After which we'll reduce the heat to medium, cooking and stirring constantly for 6 to 8 minutes until thickened and bubbly. So you'll see me put the timer on my watch while I do that. Now we've removed this from the heat, we're going to add our 1 cup of cheese, salt, and pepper. We're going to stir that until the cheese melts. Then we'll put in our tortellini, our broccoli, and 4 cups of cooked chicken. I saved a little bit for the dogs. They love it with their dinner. We're going to mix everything together and then we'll spoon this into our casserole dish. If you see my baby walking around in a diaper, he's 15 years old. I've taken him to the vet. He does not have a UTI. They say it is incontinence, so he will forever have to wear diapers in the house. We got him some new ones. They're a little smaller that fit well, and he does great outside, but he forgets when he's inside. Adding a little garlic lover seasoning here. It's not in the ingredients, but we love it, and continuing to stir. The topping should be a half cup grated Parmesan cheese, 15 round buttery crackers like Ritz, and a half cup of chopped pecans, which I totally forgot. 3 tablespoons of melted butter as well, and then you just put that on top of your casserole dish. Don't forget the pecans. I bet it would have been so much better with that. It was still a very delicious casserole, and I hope you give it a try. We'll definitely be putting this back on a rotation. Here are your ingredients. Well, I hope y'all enjoyed this week's Menu Monday. Like I said, there was a little for everybody, and I hope you get one at least that you'll enjoy trying. If you're new here, I'd love to have you join. Just hit the subscribe button, and if you hit the little bell, it'll notify you every time I have a video come up on my channel. Well guys, you guys have a fantastic week. If you've made it to the end of my video, please leave me a flower emoji, and I'll see you next Monday. Love you guys. Bye-bye.